Hello, and welcome back to the Champ.ie's Road to Cheltenham Challenge. It's myself, Barry Doyle, back with Andrew Blair-White for a 10th week, Andrew, and it's hotting up. Just 3 Mondays now left until the Dublin Racing Festival. I suppose, how are you, Andrew? And performance of the weekend or in the last week?
Yeah, look, all good with me. Hotting up. Hopefully the Irish runners seem to be okay to be going over to England. Grand G ran over at Market Raisin for Willie Mullins. So if Willie Mullins can send horses to Market Raisin, surely he can send them to Cheltenham. My performance the weekend actually came at Market Raisin. I know the mare that won that bumper, Eileen Dover, was very good, but I was very impressed with the way Edwardstone did it. He's the type of horse that's always shaped like he's had a big handicap in him, ran quite well behind the shunter in the Great Woods. He's still maturing, and he's just the type of horse, if he ran in a Betfair off his current mark, or maybe if they swerved the Betfair and went to the county hurdle off his current mark, I think he'd have every chance. He was 6th in the Supreme last year. He travelled through the race. I know it was only a little 4-runner race on the weekend, but he travelled through it really well on ground he wouldn't like. And I think there's a big pot in Edwardstone down the line somewhere.
The big race at Warwick this weekend was the Leamington Grade 2. And Admiral, I thought Richard Johnson gave him a cracking ride, to be fair. But there was one actually that caught my eye in behind. And I suppose he's rated now 135, Midnight River. Finished forward, made a mistake in the second last and the last. He was given, I suppose, a patient ride by Harry Skelton. He was in against the rail the whole way around. I thought maybe he could have got a bit closer, but for the 2 mistakes. He'd certainly want to keep on side. And I think potentially back on better ground. I think his form was on a bit of better ground. He bet Chantu Express on his first start this season, but he seems to be one that's progressing, and there was money for him as well. He went off 5-1, so there was plenty of support for him, Midnight River, and he certainly won. He was the one I took out of the race. But Andrew, I suppose just a couple of performances that we must mention, and horses maybe going towards Cheltenham. I'm going to have to start with Energumene, Andrew. What a machine. I suppose look, a lot of people are saying that, he's jumping down the back. Geez, he gave me some spin, some scope.
Yeah, he's some jumper of a fence now. He was absolutely electric down the back, and I'd be very happy if I was in your position on your 40-1 or whatever it was that you gave us last March as well. I see some people are trying to jump on the bandwagon now, but I think you started the bandwagon. I think you were the only only person that had heard of the horse from March onwards.
Well, I'm claiming this. I think you were the founder of the Album Photo fan club. I'm claiming the founding member of the Energumene fan club, and of course I'll be doing the rain dance on Monday because it looks like. Look, he won his point-to-point on good ground. And speaking of Tom Lacey on last week's podcast, he was saying, I mean, the comments got a bit jiggy, as Andrew, when I was hearing the comments from Tom Lacey. He always thought he was special, exceptional, done everything so easily at home. Look, they're just comments. But in fairness, like, he's gone and done it on the track, and he looks like, he as Tom was saying, he had that season, 2 seasons off. So Tom was wondering, did he go missing this year? But I'm not going to spend the whole show rabbiting on about Energumene, but I'll be looking forward to you jumping off the pier in Dunleary should he win in a Carlow jersey, Andrew Blair-White.
Well, I'd be more than happy to. My only worry with Energumene, I can't pick many, if any, holes in him. But as you've told us so many times, same sire as Undersow in Denim Red, and I would like to see him do it on a bit of nicer ground. Just that he has won his three very impressive starts have all come on heavy ground. That's the only thing, because I think on a bit of nicer ground he might need 2.5 miles. But you've seen so many over the years of these Tuesday Arkles come up soft ground. If it comes off soft to heavy, it's going to take some fair horse, and it's going to take Shishkin being at the top of his game to peg a horse like him back.
He's a fair tool, all right, Andrew. And hopefully, he goes and does the business at the Dublin Racing Festival, where he might take on Captain Guinness again. And I know you were saying that if Captain Guinness got a bit of better ground, you might fancy him to get a bit closer.
Yeah, I don't know whether he could reverse the form. He's got 7 or 8 lengths to find, so it's a lot to find. But I do think Captain Guinness is a better horse on better ground. I think Rachel Blackmore's interview after Bob Ollinger won would have indicated they were happy enough with that performance on heavy. And it might be something he might get within a couple of lengths of him, but I'm not sure. You'd like to hope it might be a little bit like Notebook and Cashback last year, where the two of them are jumping the last as one at Leopardstown. That'd be some sight to see who would come out on top.
Yeah, we spoke about the Leamington at Warwick, but staying with Naas, I just wanted to mention the Bob Ollinger's performance. Maybe get your thoughts on him, but for me, and it seems to be a lot of the shrewd judges, or I don't know if it's been bandied around, that Blue Lord back and trip towards the Supreme. I tend to agree. You know, Willie sometimes doesn't know what he's got in terms of whether it's a Ballymore or Supreme horse until he brings it to the track. They obviously thought that this was quite a smart type, Blue Lord, and he was my selection for the race. But he gave Paul Townend a bit of a hard time, didn't he, in fairness? And back and trip in a Supreme, it looks to be that it might suit him.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's one of those. It always, people were saying earlier in the season about N'Golo in the Supreme, though, and fast run 2 miles, and I can kind of see the point with Blue Lord. I think they'd probably run him in the Deloitte Novices Hurdle. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Appreciated isn't seen until Cheltenham, and they might run this horse in the Deloitte instead. And if he went and won a Deloitte, he'd have to run in the Supreme over 2. They have Gallard de Menil for the Ballymore anyway, so they seem to be stacked. I still think Appreciated is more than likely going to go to the Supreme no matter where Blue Lord goes, but he'd have a fair chance. I think he was the one actually probably to take out of the race, personally speaking, because he ran an absolutely massive race given the circumstances, and can definitely be upgraded on that.
One observation I did make about Blue Lord was he jumps by quite big actually over his hurdles. But we must mention the winner, or we'll be slaughtered by the Henry de Bromhead fanboys. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd rather be in your shoes, Brave Man's Game, if I'm being honest.
Look, they're both very good horses. They both bring, I think, very similar levels of form to the table. I thought Bob Ollinger was really good last week. There's no getting away from that. He looks pretty professional for a horse of his age, and he's got every chance. But would he really be for me at the price? Probably not. I'd let him go this year. I've got to let him go this year because I've backed Brave Man's Game, so you got to pick one of the two, and I'm in his camp. But he is a very good horse. Just wouldn't quite be for me this year.
Yeah, Andrew, we're going to have a quick look. We do it every week on the show. I suppose people who's new, who haven't seen the show before, let's give our selections to date. We'll start with yourself.
Yeah, look, okay enough book. Nasalam was the first one at 25s. He's come into 16s. Wide receiver, 25 to 1 any race. That looks pretty good. Chacun Pour Soi, 9 to 2 for the champion chase. Looks good. Ladies Exhibition, 16 to 1. Not a bad each way chance. Delvino and Dusart, both at 12 to 1. You can probably throw the two of them in the bin. Brave Man's Game at 16 to 1 for the Ballymore. Looks a good price at the moment. Run Wild Fred, 10 to 1 any race. Has a chance of running a Kim Muir or maybe a National Hunt Chase. And last week it came to pass, put up by myself on this podcast on Monday night and put up by none other than Gavin Lynch on Tuesday afternoon. So people, please bear in mind that I put it up first at 12 to 1 for the Fox Hunters. And my only wild card so far, Time Hill in the Stairs Hurdle at 5 to 1. Still pretty happy with that. So only two, I suspect, are complete no-hopers, and doesn't look the worst book in the world. I've certainly had worse ones in years gone by.
Andrew Blair-White influencing up in the ante. Remember that, viewers. I suppose this is a competition, Andrew. It is a battle to become the Ante-Post King, the official Ante-Post King on Champ.ie. So we want the viewers to get involved. Do like. The selections are all down below. If you think Andrew has the better book, like Andrew's selections. And my list is there as well. And I'm going to go through a couple of them now. But if you think I have the better book, it looks like we're holding a good bit of hope on an urge of me here, but I am going to rattle through them. Like mine, if you think I have the best chances at the Cheltenham Festival. Eldorado Allen was week 1, 20 to 1. Mac Fabulous, we're going to come on from that. Mac Fabulous selection number 2, 12 to 1 for the Sayers Hurdle. It'd be probably it would be unlike Paul Nichols now to go back on his word and I suppose slip him in there. So we'll move on from that one as well. Appreciated 12 to 1 for the Ballymore. Seems to me I'm picking the wrong races because McFabulous is probably going to go to the entry hurdle, and Appreciated 12 to 1 for the Ballymore. Thought it was a great shout at the time. It was looking great until Willie threw a curveball and said, will enter him in the future novice, and when he wins, he's going to go for the Supreme, and that's I suppose how that one's developed. But as I said on last week's show, I wouldn't give up all hope just yet. Willie has been known to change his mind, and for me, the way he looks like a Ballymore horse, and I still stand over that. I'm sure he's not short of pace, but I want to be. Sometimes it takes a stare to win the Supreme, and you saw Batur. He went from the front, made it a test, and that seems to be the way I appreciate is going to have to go and win his Supreme if he goes here. But we will see him at the Dublin Racing Festival, I'd imagine, and we'll know more after that. But Champ 12-1, look, it's getting near the time whether he's going to run before Cheltenham. I know Hurdles was mentioned. He's in here at 12-1 for the Gold Cup. In my opinion, probably the horse in the market has potential to shorten significantly in price if he did go and win on a reappearance. And he's a serious engine, Champ. So I'm happy enough with that. And Urjamin, 10-1 any race. As Andrew said, we put him up at 40s last year on the podcast for the Arkle, but we didn't know. We were just covering our options there. Love this horse, 10-1. Cannot wait to see him run again. Very happy on that. Good each way alternative to Siskin for anyone who wants to get involved even at this stage. Kescon risk 25-1. I see he's entered anyway, Andrew, at the Dublin Racing Festival. He'd be looking for improvement, but again, it's a big price. He's still the same price as he is, and were he to run well, it's not beyond all possibilities. Concertista 9-2 for the Mayor's Hurdle. Yeah, I'm very happy with that. She's shortened up now to 11-4, probably one of my better ones. And Tukas 25-1. I love this, Andrew. We were just hoping that he wouldn't go and win the Danmore and blow his mark out of the water. 138. He's probably going to get another £6 on top of that, which will leave him. It'll leave him lovely on a lovely mark in the Grand Annual. It looks like that's the route they're going to go with him. He is going to be on better ground. And look, we made a case on the last couple of shows for him. It was a lovely run, finished fourth. Jumping, there was a couple of comments saying, God, can Antukas jumping? I encourage people who haven't seen his first three runs, there's nothing wrong with his jumping. Go and watch that. This horse can jump. He is quick through the air. And I think he is a plot for the Grand Annual. Autumn Evening, 40-1. Looks like certainly one for me. That's a Boodles handicap type. He's still available at that price. So the plunge didn't come for Autumn Evening like it did for Antukas. Coming on then, listen, Wildcard, she wears it well. As it was pointed out after last week's show, after we spoke about her, we was hearing good reports, and then obviously the news broke last week. Patrick Mullen says it's probably unlikely she makes Cheltenham. That's disappointing. But Monkfish 3-1 is rock solid. But 3-1 Monkfish, Andrew, for me as a wild card, when now he's, I think, 7-4, potentially best price. I'm seeing 6-1 latest exhibition when you were him at 16s. It's probably hard to see him reversing the form, but you have got good value, to be fair, on latest exhibition. But I'm very happy with Monkfish. I think he'd be very, very hard beaten in the RSA. But this week's selection, I suppose the time on the show that everyone has been waiting for, Andrew Blair-White. You always go first. Go ahead.
Well, this is going to cause a little bit of controversy between me and you, Barry, because I'm going to be putting up a horse for the Grand Annual myself.
Oh, no. I know what this is.
And it is quite similar connections to yourself as well. So it may be which one on the day that JP gives the wink and nudge to. But I'm going to put up at 20-1 a horse called Aramax, who won the Boodles last year. Absolute no-show in his first two starts over fences, given nondescript rides both times. And just when it's come to the time of the year he needs to win a race to get into the Grand Annual, he was latched onto the bridle at the back of 2 out in a beginner's chase at Ferryhouse on Saturday, beating Port Stanley, who's a reliable yardstick that Jesse Harrington's won very, very cosy. I just think he's got an awful lot of similarities to the way Chosen Mates was campaigned last year. A few poor enough runs, then suddenly wins a beginners with an awful lot of improvement suddenly has sprung out of nowhere, and we'll get into this race off a nice enough mark. He does lack chasing experience. He's only a 5-year-old. I don't think 5-year-olds have a massively great record in a Grand Annual, but I think he'll be in there off a favourable mark. He goes well at the track. He's won at the track last year, and I think at 20-1 he's a little big. I'd have him down maybe as a 16-1 chance myself. And I do realise with JP, one might be off, one might be on, but he's not he's not against running 2 or 3 horses in a race like the Grand Annual. I think that both Aramax and Antoukas will run in the race, and I'll be siding with Aramax, and it'll be a head-to-head Blair-White v Doyle, Aramax v Antoukas.
I'm laughing because me making a big case for Antoukas, going on, and here's Andrew Blair-White, Paul Carberry style, arse in the air. Here's Aramax, wasn't supposed to win. My eyes are on Antoukas. Lovely, absolutely delighted that the horse finishes fourth. Mark preserved the whole lot. What's this? Keith Donoghue, chosen mate style. This horse comes and wins, and I'm not sure was he meant to win. But the one thing I would say about him is I think his jumping would have to improve. Obviously, he came from off the pace. Port Stanley just seemed to stop in front, though. Did he just pick up the pieces? I know it was only a beginner's chase. It's not a handicap. It was just my first instinct. I was kind of like, what is this? This is the JP horse for a split second. But when I looked into it, Andrew, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about it. But look, as I said,
I think you could have made a similar suggestion this time last year that Chosen Mate's jumping wasn't up to a whole pile. And suddenly, miraculously, a little bit of better ground. Like I saw some of the excuses that were being given for Aramax's improved performance. Apparently, a first-time tongue tie was the rationale behind him suddenly sluicing up. But look, as you say, he would need to improve his jumping. He does lack a bit of experience, but I think he'll run in the race, and he's just too big a price to let go, I think.
My selection this week, Andrew, I've been toying with this for a while. We've talked about this race a couple of times on the podcast. I said after Sir Gerhard won up the north that I hadn't seen a bumper winner as impressive as this in quite some while. This whole Sir Gerhard thing, the race at Navan the last day was on pretty bad ground. Let's make no mistake about it, he did it well. But because I'm not sure, like the race is so competitive. Kilcrot obviously won at Navan. He really impressed me at Navan. I think he's going to go straight to the bumper. Brandy Love, not sure what they're going to do with her. Would Willie run two at the Dublin Racing Festival? I'm not so sure. And obviously, what do you want? We spoke. He impressed me, to be fair, at Fairy House. But the horse I'm going to put up is Ramelis. He's going to run at the Dublin Racing Festival. We're going to put him up. I think he's value here at 14-1. He's priced up at 16-1 with one firm, but that doesn't qualify me, as he is priced up across the board and with two firms 14-1. So I'm going to get him in here, Ramelis. I think it's interesting that they expected big things from him last year at Leopardstown, and he disappointed. He was put away. And obviously give him plenty of time. I personally think he's the value in the champion bumper market. Sir Gerhard, he's very, very short. We are probably a bit top heavy on the Willie Mullins horses now, so I will try over the next couple of weeks to maybe look maybe across the water to see his rating. But look, he's my fancy. He is a good price, and he's my selection. I think he's progressive as well, and he has had that extra time as well. So he's been given plenty of time. The one thing I would say about what Tom Lacey said to me last week was, and he said it on the podcast, was he was quite backward. He wasn't as precocious as an Urjameen. So the time that's been given to him has obviously stood him in good stead. And he was mighty impressed. He couldn't have done it any better, could he, Andrew, at Leopardstown?
No, he was mad impressive. They were obviously very disappointed with him the year before, but I could see him definitely winning that Grade 2 bumper. And as you say, he contracts massively in price if he goes and does that. I doubt Sir Gerhard will win at Leopardstown. I'd say he'll go straight. I'd say Kilcrute will go straight. And therefore, that Grade 2 bumper mightn't be the strongest. And if he does win that, he'll be snipped in at least half in price. In fact, he might even be 5-1, 4-1.
It's all about getting the value, and as I said, I think he's a good selection this week. We have another 2 Mondays until the Dublin Racing Festival, so I'd imagine, Andrew, our eyes will be very much focused on that and to try and get the best of the Irish in before that, because after that then it's handicaps, you're basically picking up pieces after that. A lot of the clues are going to come from there, and it's looking a little bit more encouraging in terms of the Irish runners. There's not as much about it. The numbers are coming down this side of the water. And you'd have to be confident at this stage, wouldn't you?
Yeah, look, hopefully so. As I said earlier, with Willie's horse in market raising, surely they'll be able to have runners at Cheltenham. I know there's probably a few logistical things that still need to be sorted, but I'd hope by the middle of March those things can be rectified.